Let me ask you a question. Have you ever promised yourself that this is it? This was my last relapse, only to fail again a few days later. And then you ask yourself, what happened? How is this even possible? How can I break my own promises like that? And so that deep feeling of guilt and being disappointed in yourself sets in. Well, you're not alone, and this is actually not your fault. You see, by watching porn for many years, it's like you have created a relapsing software in your brain that activates by certain triggers in your life. And when this happens, you are leaving the driving seat and the relapsing autopilot takes over. And this happens again and again and again, keeping you stuck there in the addiction cycle. Hi, I'm Scandinavian Bob, and through a one-on-one coaching session, I help men finally break the addiction cycle with my 4-step porn crushing system. Maybe you are familiar with my YouTube channel, Project Stronger Self, and perhaps you have seen some of my videos where I often talk about porn addiction. Well, it's a subject that is near and dear to my heart because in August next year, I have been part of the porn addiction community for 10 years. The first years as a porn addict myself, desperately trying to get out of it, and then after reading everything I could get my hands on in order to be able to help myself, finally succeeding, and now the last couple of years as someone who helps others succeed as well. I'm passionate about helping guys overcome their porn addiction because I know how bad it feels to be stuck in the relapse cycle. That feeling of deep shame and regret you have after a relapse. Being so disappointed with yourself that you can hardly look at yourself in the mirror. And when you promise yourself to quit, but then you keep breaking your promises over and over again, so you finally stop trusting yourself and you start thinking, man, I have let myself down so many times now that my own words no longer really mean anything. And what's even nastier is that, well, most of us know that, for example, alcohol addiction is progressive, meaning it gets worse over time. And after almost 10 years in the rebooting community, I have seen how porn addiction for many guys also tends to get worse until they're so desensitized by all the porn that they escalate into watching all kinds of weird things in order to try to get the same dopamine amount. But in the end, even that stops delivering because the reward system is so numb. And let me tell you, this is a bad place to be in because when you're that desensitized to stimuli, it becomes very hard feeling any kind of joy or excitement from everyday normal life. And this is something I experienced firsthand in the midst of my own addiction. Not to mention the low energy and lack of drive that follows along with desensitization. It took me years of trial and error to finally stop relapsing. But I'm so glad I did because I went from being a depressed, anxious man with sluggish erections, almost no motivation and drive, hating my life but having no energy to do anything about it, to now having more ideas than I know what to do with, feeling happy, healthy and strong in every way. This is all because I figured out how to break the addiction cycle and finally managed to leave porn behind for good. And this is what my 4-step porn crushing system can do for you too. It will make you stop relapsing so you can get rid of that heavy guilt and pain, and so that you too can get a better life. You see, after being almost 10 years in the rebooting community, I started to see patterns that 99.5% of men do wrong when they try to quit. And my 4-step system breaks those patterns. And during the one-on-one coaching call with me, I will tailor this system exactly to you and your circumstances. And that is not something you can get from your ordinary local therapist. Because after having been involved in the porn addiction community for almost a decade now, I have really seen all the pitfalls one can fall into, specifically when it comes to quitting porn. In addition to this, we are going to go through some golden rules, again, that I tailor to your unique situation. And these rules will help cement the porn crushing steps even harder so you can stop relapsing and finally leave your porn addiction behind for good. The coaching session happens via Zoom, and if you aren't familiar with Zoom, don't worry. It's really easy to use. You do not need to be technical at all. After scheduling a session with me, you will be getting an email with a link to the meeting, and then at the time of your meeting, when you click on that link, it will take you straight to the meeting automatically. And you can decide if you want to use your camera or not. Now, I will be using mine, but if you are feeling a bit shy, you don't even have to show your face if you don't want to. So click the link under this video right now and schedule a one-on-one call with me, and I'll be happy to tailor and share this system with you, because the 4-step bone crushing system is guaranteed to give you some new insight. I'm looking forward to talking to you.